the gentleman who had 90 grams of cocaine secreted in his suitcase without his knowledge.
So herpes is a forever thing.
It's yeah. Men, I'm sorry, but you have got a bit grim to date at the moment.
Saucy secrets.
Welcome back to Saucy Secrets. I'm sex and dating columnist Jana Hocking. With me is radio extraordinaire MC.
I like how you say that. Is it just because you can't really think of any other word to describe me? So,
There was
extraordinaire.
I'm not going to lie, there was like an awkward pause where I was like, how
else would you describe me if you weren't using the word extraordinaire?
To your face or behind your back?
To my face, preferably, because, I'm here next to you.
He's tall, he's dark, he's handsome. MC. Anyway, MC. That is not how I would describe you behind your back. So last week we broke the internet. We had Margarita Nazarenko on the show.
Yes.
I just love saying her name. It's the best name in the world.
It's a wonderful name, isn't it? Margarita Nazarenko.
She said something so iconic that when we threw it up on Instagram, we're already up to 800,000 views. We've had Rosie Huntington-Whiteley
World famous supermodel.
Oh my God, I love her
Actress.
so much. I might have sent to our WhatsApp group a screenshot of her liking
You did.
it and being like,
Hey, you know what? You've got to celebrate the wins.
we really did.
You know what I mean?
We did.
And that video
So,
was a win.
yes, we broke the internet. Yes, she came on the show and gave me some really hard truths about my dating life.
Oh, no, she didn't give you hard truths. She tore your dating life and strategies to absolute pieces.
She really did. And this week she cock-blocked me. So she's been in my head all week. What would Margarita do? What would Margarita do? And I had this guy who has basically been saying to me like, yeah, let's catch up. But he can only ever catch up on a Monday.
So you've got to fit into his busy schedule if you
Exactly.
want to spend time together.
Yeah, like he's got kids and he's going through, like he's divorced. He's got a lot more going on than I thought I did until he called me this week and I was like, how was your weekend? Thinking he was stuck with the kids all weekend. He was like, oh, well, I had poker night on Friday and then like, this weekend I've got Oasis and I've got to this. Anyway, it's Monday. Do you want to catch up? And I was like, well, wait, you could have actually taken me on a date any of those nights. You want to catch up with me on a Monday, come to my place to go to the beach for a swim rather than a proper date. And all I kept thinking was, what would Margarita say? What would Margarita say? So I, rather than call her up and be super annoying, because I do still want her as a friend, I put in ChatGPT. I told ChatGPT the whole story, the whole background, and I said, what would Margarita Nazarenko do? And ChatGPT was just as brutal and said Margarita Nazarenko would say, absolutely not, put up a boundary, make this man take you on a proper date. So then it even said, do you want me to write you a text message to send this man? And I was like, yes, ChatGPT, I really do. It sent me the most iconic text message that basically said, listen, I'm going to pass on Monday. While I appreciate that you're happy to come to my house, I actually want to go on a proper date. When you can take me on a proper date, let's circle back. Crickets! Bloody crickets I've heard from that man.
Can't ChatGPT do? But you feel good about it.
I feel really good. I haven't had sex, so I'm feeling a little bit,
Oh.
but I am feeling good about it. And long term, I know it's the right decision. So thank you, Margarita, but also, annoying.
Men are the worst.
There is a vile subconscious trick that pickup artists are using at the moment. And once I heard about it, I realized that actually it's been used on me before.
Are pickup artists a thing? Are there people out there that are just trying to pick up for sport? Like it's the thrill of the chase to use these techniques to try and get someone into
It's
bed.
dark arts, and they're using it all over TikTok at the moment. So any guy can go on, find these toxic TikTok videos, people like men explaining how to trick women into bed. It's dark, it's gross. It started in 2005 with the book The Game. It's vile. But I heard about it recently and realized it's definitely been used on me. But I want to set the scene, and you tell me if you can see where the dark art mastery has happened.
I've really got to pay attention. All right.
Okay, so like a few months ago, I went on a date. We went to a wine bar and we had some nice wines.
Yes.
And it was beautiful and it was general chit chat.
Okay.
Then he suggested we go to a restaurant for dinner because it was going well.
Okay.
Perfect. I would love to go for dinner. We went for dinner. Then the chat got a little bit more bonding. Like it was like, where are you from? Where did you grow up? Do you have brothers? Do you have sisters? What's your ex history like? Like it was a little bit deeper. And then after that and a bottle of wine, we then went for a big romantic walk around Sydney Harbour. So now we've got 3 different spots. We've gone to the wine bar, we've gone to dinner, and then we've gone for a big walk. Then I will admit, by then I felt like I knew him quite well. So then, yes, I did go home and have amazing sex with him. But I did wake up the next day kind of going, oh, I was going to take this a little bit slower than that. Can you see where the dark art trickery came into place?
I feel like I would have gone home and had sex with the bloke because
It's a magical date.
So hang on. So there's something in there that he's used that is some TikTok dating trend to get women into bed.
Yeah, and it worked.
Like all he did was say, let's go to a restaurant because we're having fun, asked you questions about yourself, which feels like you should take an interest, and then said, let's go for a walk.
Okay, so let me play you this video.
Am I missing something
It
here?
was Andrew Huberman on the Chris Williamson podcast, and he explained this thing called progressive context bonding. And used in the wrong way, it will trick women into bed. Let me play it for you.
This has been well established that if 2 people, for instance, go 3 different places in a given day, they tend to feel like they know each other far better than if they stayed in one place even for a longer period of time.
Did you know that pickup artists were weaponizing this about 15 years ago?
Oh no, it doesn't surprise me, but I'm sorry to hear it.
It was common held wisdom in the pickup artist community that you were supposed to have a 3-location date to manipulate precisely this, to make the girl feel like you had progressed further down the maturation process of spending time together.
So in him taking you to 3 different things, you're going, he's really into me.
Yeah.
He's really into this date.
Yeah.
He's putting so much thought into this. Look at all the stuff that we're doing.
Yeah.
You're thinking he's more interesting than maybe he actually is.
And you also feel like you've known him for years because you've been bonding in 3 different spots. It's exactly the same as they say the best first date you can do gets the adrenaline going. So you should go on a date where you're, it's a scary movie, or you go bungee jumping or something like that because you bond together when the heart rate is going faster. This is kind of the same thing when you're going to 3 different places in one date. It feels like you've been on 3 dates. It's quite tricky. Anyway, so then I became really, really paranoid. And this guy already had like a player kind of reputation. So I did call another girl who had also been on a date with him because everyone where I live, everyone by my age has dated everyone. And she said he did the exact same thing to her. You men. So then I actually went a little bit further. So then he, of course, because I'm not going to lie, it was a magical night, asked me out again. And he suggested the same kind of thing. And I said to him, well, why don't we do a Sunday brunch? Because I was like, it's one location and it's got a cutoff time. And we didn't go on another date. He used the 3-date trickery.
And it
the
worked.
3-location trickery. And
That's
damn
all it takes.
worked.
Take her on 3 different locations on the date. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. In the sack, just like that.
So women, be careful. I would say if you want to take it slow with a guy, I mean, if you want to have sex on the first night, no shame. I've never regretted it. I've dated 3 guys that I've had sex with on the first night. That aside, if you do want to take it slow and get to know guys, just go to one location and have a heart out. While the rest of us do a quick Instagram stalk before a date, billionaires are outsourcing it. Our guest today is Oliver Lawrence, a private investigator hired by the rich and powerful to dig into their potential lovers' pasts. I'm so excited. He's a man who finds out if that stunning new girlfriend is a soulmate or a scammer. From the secret double lives to hidden marriages, he's seen it all. So, what exactly are the world's wealthiest people trying to hide, and how do they protect themselves from heartbreak? He joins us to spill the tea. Welcome, Oliver.
Good morning, good afternoon. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us all the way from the UK.
From the moment, I just need you to know, from the moment we started this show however many weeks ago, Jana has been saying, I just want to speak to a PI. I want to speak to a private investigator. So just you're making all of her dreams come true.
And do you know
on the
why?
show.
Because I wrote about this a little while ago, but one of my friends came to brunch the other day and she's in the middle of a divorce and it's quite like her husband's a surgeon, they've got a lot of money, and she's like, I'm convinced that he's got a PI on me. And then that started this whole conversation because this same guy had been sitting out the front of her house tracking her. And then I found out that in the eastern suburbs or the richest areas of Australia, it's actually super common for people during their divorce cases to hire PIs to dig up dirt on the other partner. And the whole belief behind it is you spend a little bit of money to save a lot of money in your divorce. Is this nothing new to you? Like, is this your everyday life?
It is certainly part of my day-to-day life now. None of these phone calls really surprise me anymore in terms of how and why people want to instruct the services of investigators like myself, be that in some sort of massive contentious litigation or a very yucky divorce, you know, whether people are looking to find the assets that their husband or wife has hidden around the world, or they're really wanting to understand who they're with, what they're doing and why they're doing it. You know, the reasoning behind it all, you know, there are no boundaries in terms of why people want to carry out the services of whether covert surveillance or some investigation on assets. It can be fairly extensive and global.
And now I want to know, because you did this amazing interview in the Times newspaper about your line of work. And you gave an example of a guy who's not a 1 billionaire, he's a 2 billionaire. And he uses your services now before he even goes on a date to do a background check on women, on, you know, are they just after his money? Can they be trusted? Can you tell us a bit about that case? Because what you had to say about it was so interesting.
Well, there's a couple of layers to that, because that individual actually found themselves in a bit of a pickle a few years ago when they had engaged in the services of escorts, and for some bizarre reason had decided to film themselves engaging in one of these lewd acts on the iPad, which was shared up to the cloud, which then dropped onto the wife's iPad. And she found out about this sort of rather lewd behavior in the most sort of horrifying way, that ultimately that started a bit of a blackmail event in terms of she created a pseudo character trying to get as much money from him as possible before she leaked this footage out to the world. So, you know, not only did she take the matters into her own hands, she then started and was part of this really emotional roller coaster, started to use that information that she had got from him against him. And he had absolutely no idea who was doing it to him. So in a post world for him, it was about, right, what have I got to do to keep myself safer in terms of the people, notwithstanding his behavior and the activities were totally horrible. His moral compass was spinning all around the place. There was really this view from him that he wanted to make sure that he was checking out the people that he was getting involved in relationships with, that who they said they were, but actually looking at the problem, which was actually himself, you know. So and with billionaires, you know, 2 times over, as you quite rightly point out, money isn't an object to them. You know, they want to make sure that people that they're getting into bed with are who they say they are, and ultimately they can trust them. But as I say, these modern entrepreneurs with lots of money who travel around the world, engage in all sorts of nefarious activities because they're away from partners and girlfriends and husbands and wives, and these activities go on. And sometimes they stupidly get found out.
And what's the most shocking thing you've uncovered during an infidelity case? Like, what's genuinely shocked you?
I worked on a case several years ago with a gentleman who had 90 grams of cocaine secreted in his suitcase without his knowledge. That meant, that it ended up him in prison in Singapore, in Changi, facing significant charges and the potential of the death penalty. There are a number of assumptions which can draw us to how that occurred. Either inside, outside, out of the family, but that laid him into very difficult waters, right? And what I found there is human behavior will do anything to ensure that somebody can manipulate a situation. Thankfully, we were able to get him home alive, but that just shows you the extent that people are willing to go to remove somebody from a particular environment. Now, that is an extreme, but, you know, that's what the sort of things we deal with.
Hang on. So you mean basically, okay, so say it was a wife who needed her husband to be gone for a long time.
It was planted so he'd get caught.
Yeah, so she planted so he'd be locked up. Like, you would have to hate that person so much to want them to go to jail for life, if not death penalty. Okay, I don't think that can be topped in terms of wild stories, but you've given me an idea. Now, do you think the dating apps have changed the way people behave in relationships? Like, do you think it's made it easier for people to cheat? And do you think it's made it easier for people like you to catch them out?
It's a 50-50 really. I think, yes, it's become easier to cheat because applications are more accessible. People are more accessible to talk to. I deal with a lot of people that sadly engage in a lot of escort activity. That stuff has become more digital. The ability to pay for it has changed with the evolution of cryptocurrency. So the services are harder to track through sort of, the old sort of bank accounts in terms of paying with credit cards and other bits and pieces. So the evolution of cheating and people being unfaithful has evolved as technology has evolved because we've become more digital, which has made it slightly harder to track these people down. Equally, though, they become lazy and complacent, make mistakes, which then allows us to pounce and support the party who thinks it's all going on. So it's a bit 50-50, that one.
Okay, so if I wanted to hire you, say I was married, lol, say I was married, and I thought my husband was cheating and I wanted you to find out, how much am I out of pocket for your very worthwhile services?
Typically, if you look at surveillance, and I'll do all the stuff in Australian dollars easier. So $110, $120 an hour for covert surveillance. You're looking at generally probably 15, 20 hours up front that we'll generally carry out. You're looking at a bit of open source intelligence work. We're talking about all that online stuff. I would say most matrimonial cases that come across my table have a minimum starting fee of about $8,000 to $10,000.
$8,000 to $10,000 to find out if your partner's cheating.
And you spend money to save some money down the line.
Do you know what? I'd do it. If I had it, I'd do it.
If there is someone listening or watching on the YouTube stream and they've got that gut feeling that you've talked about and they think that there's something going on with their partner, what's the first thing they should do, or how should they act on that gut feeling that they've got and that concern that their partner is cheating?
I think the first thing to do is certainly pick up the phone and have a conversation, make notes, keep observations, understand what those movements are, see if appointments are changing. Do the old thing by saying, listen, can I just check your phone to see what the weather's doing? Or can I just check, something that could be mutually accessible for the two of you that you can't get on your phone? And if there's this sudden urge of not allowing you to go near the phone, or whilst you're holding it, there's this panic that what's going to come in. Those are sorts of things, as I say, that gut feeling deep in your belly is often quite accurate. Pick up the phone, speak to somebody like myself. There's plenty of us in the industry. Have a conversation. Let's have a look. Let's test a few of those things out and put a plan together and see how we can try and uncover what's going on.
Have you ever felt in danger in your job? Like, have you ever been threatened, or have you ever been caught?
Yeah, there's always a risk of being caught. Listen, I sit at the senior end of my company now, so I very rarely get my hands on the tools. But I've been leading on the past few years of a kidnapping in Antigua of a chap that was subject to being trapped by a very good young lady from Eastern Europe. A certain state in the world wanted in return, but didn't want to follow the extradition laws of the country that he was in. So they decided to kidnap him. And I'd spent sort of 3 years in country investigating that post his kidnapping, and we had people following us, government agents, police officers, various different people. So those times can get tense, get quite nervous, but ultimately, they're doing the right thing. You're trying to find out what's happened to someone who's been kidnapped. So they are very sort of high stakes environments, which is away from the whole sort of infidelity scene. But those things do go on, and we do get instructed to support clients globally with really, really serious issues, and that was certainly one that had me looking over my shoulder continually throughout the entirety of the operation, which is sort of still going on today, really, to some extent.
And do you find it's easier to catch men cheating than it is women? Because I think women are way savvier than men when it comes to cheating.
They are. I'll say that now immediately. Women are very, very clever at doing what they need to do. I find guys get lazy, right? They get complacent and they make silly mistakes, silly errors, which find them in a very pickle very quickly. So, and I would suggest at the moment, in the last 6 months, just giving you some stats, we've had 25 engagements, and 22 of those have been men who think their wives are cheating on them.
Really?
Wow.
I thought you were going to say the opposite.
Wow.
And are you like, oh God, this is going to be hard?
Yeah.
Give us
not
a
for young
guide.
adults.
Now, we have had an influx of listeners slide into our DMs, as the young generation say, with questions that they would love to ask you, Oliver. So the first one comes from Laura. She said, what are some of the most common signs people ignore before finding out they were cheated on?
Extensive periods away from the home, which are unnecessary, business trips which don't need to be taken, or a sudden increase in business trips. Not attending family events and going off and doing other bits and pieces. As I say, I can't understate the whole mobile phone thing, right? You've got to have an ability to communicate with someone. So the discovery of a second mobile phone you never knew. I've had a number of partners, both male and female, if I might add, who have found phones under carpets in Aston Martins and in Ferraris that they suddenly didn't realize existed. And then they wonder what those phones are attached to. So it's the whole, and it's irregular behaviors, right? If you're with someone for 15 years and suddenly their behaviors change in terms of where they're going and what they're doing, which is irregular, right? Then, some people's lives change. I don't want people to become paranoid because someone's going off to play golf on a Saturday. But, if this is becoming a regular thing, and it would appear, as I say, that gut feeling is the biggest thing. But a lot of the time, our inquiries, I go back to what I say, our inquiries start around mobile phones and people's not wanting to have access to email accounts, other bits and pieces. The other one now is Proton email accounts, right? Proton email accounts are email accounts which cannot be traced, right? And people setting up these nefarious email accounts of, abc123@protonemail.com is another sign that something is going on. If you find an email account of that type, there could be all sorts of bits and pieces going on behind the scenes.
Do you know what a guy did to me the other day? I thought this was quite crafty. They're such idiots. I'm a sex columnist, but I get so many married men slide into my DMs on the regular. And this one guy did it in such a clever way. He'd sent me, I knew him loosely, so this wasn't some random, but it was a guy I kind of knew distantly through friends. He sent me pictures in my DMs on my Instagram, but he had written what he wanted to write to me on Post-it notes and then put it in you know how you can send a picture in DMs
and it disappears after, once you look at it, the photo disappears.
Exactly, and you can't screenshot it. I was like, you are next level. Like, that's how he was trying to flirt with me. And I'm like, you're an idiot because I'm going to write about this. But you guys are savvy. Okay, the next one is from Casey. She said, have you ever caught someone cheating in the act or in a really unexpected way?
My first advice to anybody that's engaging us is let us do our work, right? I'd never really like to take people to the scene, but you do get clients. I have had, and again, I'm going to say this is mainly female clients who get very emotionally attached to these cases. They want answers, they get angry, and they want to be there. There have been, and they generally do request, right? If you see him at a motel, if you see him with this woman, I want to be there. I want to know because I want to confront them. Now, we don't want confrontation. We don't want fights. We don't want people getting hurt, and often, sometimes the female who is engaging in the activity with, let's just say, married man, actually has no idea they're married and actually has no idea they have a child or a family or all this other life that's, because they're lied to, right? So it often catches them out by surprise. But there is the odd occasion where you find all this sort of the lust and the excitement in cars going on, right? If the car's rocking, don't go knocking. Well, we'll come knocking, right? Because for us, it's about saying, oi, what's going on, filming all this stuff and then moving on. But it does go on, we do find people in the act, entering into what I call shenanigans.
Shenanigans. Sex in cars is what I would call it.
yeah, that's it.
Okay, the next one is from Josh.
Josh asks, how can someone gather information or evidence before going to the extremes of hiring a PI?
Collating telephone numbers that you don't recognize on a phone, which can be helpful. Running Google searches on those numbers. Now, if they're escort services, they should come up pretty quickly. If you've got it, because they generally, although they rotate through their numbers every couple of months, you could get a hit, right? Email accounts is the same thing. You can use email searches. If you have a picture of or if you find evidence of escorts, right, or images of women, you can run those through obviously image searches now through Google or AI, and it will find those images online and it'll be able to obviously take you to the relevant websites. So you can start to build up the intelligence portfolio yourself before coming to us and wanting the actual evidence. Now, during that process, any man or woman may say to themselves, well, if I find the pictures and they link themselves immediately to escorts, for me, that's already it, right? I've got enough. But sometimes they want to know why, right? There's a lot of people that get emotionally attached to these cases and go, what is this escort doing, right, that I'm not doing in the bedroom, or what is going on? I give them all this love and all this affection, but they seem to want more, right? And often it can become a bit obsessive, right? This whole sort of why situation. And that's when we get these cases where we have to go and interview these escorts and say, listen, what services are you providing? Because our client is obviously wanting to know what you're doing that she hasn't done. And it can get a bit full on. But yeah, those are little things that you can put together to build up in your mind that something is going on, right? Mobile phone numbers, pictures, and email accounts.
And the answer to what are they doing is they're getting pegged. I've got an escort friend and she said that they all come to get pegged. Sorry, I've given you all a heart attack. You lived up to my private investigator dreams. You gave us the best information. I've still got a million questions, but we can't steal you forever. Please come back on the podcast. We've loved every second with you. We've had someone write in. They wrote, Dear Saucy Secrets, a year after my divorce, I went through what can only be described as my eat, pray, shag phase. Yes, girl. Yes, girl. I was in my 40s, finally free and determined to make up for lost time. I dated, traveled, and said yes to things I never would have before. And in the middle of all that, I caught herpes.
Oh.
I know. At first, I was devastated. I felt dirty, ashamed, and completely terrified of telling anyone. But then I got educated and I learned to manage it. And after a while, I accepted it as part of my story. We love to hear it. The problem is, now that I'm ready for something real again, I don't know how to talk about it. When do you bring it up? Do you do it before the first date, before sex? After you know you like each other? I'm terrified of being rejected, but I also don't want to live in fear or deception. It's such a small part of my life now, but it feels like the thing that could ruin everything. How do I tell someone without it defining me? Signed, healing but hesitant.
Can I just ask a really stupid question that I'm assuming everybody already knows the answer to except for me? So herpes is a forever thing.
It's yeah.
Clearly. I thought that was just one of those things where you could go to the chemist and get some kind of medication and get rid of it.
Herpes is for life.
Oh.
Yeah. And then there's all different ones. So I had to do a deep dive because even I was like.
Your Google history, like your search history, I hope like no government agencies or anything ever get a hold of your computer because the things that you'd be looking up.
I know. They are wild. They are wild. I am definitely on a few watch lists. But so I did look into it. First of all, I say breathe because it turns out a lot of people have it.
Pretty common.
So at the moment, they're saying 1 in 8 Australians have it, but they're saying 500 million people worldwide have it.
So there could be someone in this room right now with us that could have herpes.
Miny.
Which of you's got it? Hands up.
But do you know what? We don't shame because it's super common. Okay, stop pointing at people.
Sorry. I'm just looking at all, who here would have herpes.
But it also means that if you're on the dating apps, you are swiping people who have herpes.
Yeah.
It's very, very common.
Sorry, I'll take this seriously.
So thank you. We are a mature podcast. But sometimes what I would say is breathe easy. Know that you're not the only person in the world who is going to have to sit someone down and tell them. But do I think you say it on the first date?
Oh,
no.
No.
I don't think you say it until you've actually got to know them. The thing is, now that you've got it, you are going to have to slow down and actually get to know your dates and figure out if you even like them. Because I think if you tell them too soon, you're putting your trust in someone's hands that you don't even know.
You got to learn whether or not this person's a dickhead or not and whether they are mature enough to handle something like this or not.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I would put off sleeping with them. I would get to know them. I'd go on a few dates before I told them. And then when it looks like it's going down that pathway of nudie-rooty, then tell them. But also, so this is something I found out from a friend that I thought was genius advice. They said, don't attack the conversation like, I'm so embarrassed. I'm mortified. I've got this gross thing. I'm really sorry, but I have to confess it. Say it confidently. Say it like it's not a big deal. Say that you're dealing with it. You know how to handle it. You're obviously not going to have sex when you have an outbreak, but when you're in the all clear, you can. And also, you're just going to make sure you wear condoms. But say it short, sharply, and succinctly and with confidence, and then leave room because when we over-explain stuff, it brings shame to the conversation or embarrassment, just say it simply and then give them space, one, to take it all in because it might come as a shock. And then they're going to approach it maturely as well because they can see that you've got a handle on it.
And I'm assuming, again, that it is something that can obviously be managed. And it's not like this person has herpes, so everyone she's going to come into contact sexually is going to get herpes. There's ways to go about it where everyone can be completely safe, completely healthy, and it's not like an issue. It's not like she, has to be cordoned off for the rest of her life.
Well, I spoke to a friend who has it, and she said that people know when they're about to have an outbreak. There's it's like a cold sore where you get tingling down there, and and then you just don't have sex during that time. Okay, brace yourself because this one's wild. STIs are exploding across Australia. Gonorrhea and syphilis have more than doubled in the last decade. Chlamydia has clocked over 100,000 new cases in a year, and only 16% of Aussies have ever been tested, which means a lot of people are getting busy and blissfully unaware they're spreading more than just love. It's a full-blown sexual health crisis, and tonight we've got Dr. Brad Mackay on the show to tell us just how bad it's getting. He's the GP who doesn't sugarcoat it, and trust me, what he's about to reveal will make you all rethink that very casual fling. Or any casual fling you've ever had. I'm already scared. Welcome to the show, Dr. Brad.
We're all sex positive here. That's fine. You can have your casual fling. That's all right. But just do it responsibly.
Condoms. I feel like after this chat, we're all going to go out and buy a massive box of Trojans or something.
Absolutely.
So can you tell us, let's get right into it. What are some of the worst cases you've seen a patient come into your office with when it comes to
Take us
STIs?
back to the embarrassing bodies days. The worst of the worst, the horror stories, with respect, obviously.
Sure, confidentially with my patients. I suppose there's always classic stories where somebody comes in and they've been saying, oh yes, I've been experiencing terrible green goo coming out of my penis for a while. It stings every time I pee. I thought that I should do something about it. And then you ask them how long has this actually been going on for? And they say 6 months. So often people will leave things for a very long time. They're too embarrassed to go to the doctor, or they're traveling around the country as a backpacker, for example. They just put everything to the side. They're changing their underwear 4 times a day. We need to have more sexual health services and people to feel confident to go to the doctor to actually get treatment for it. That's the classic story that comes through the door.
And in America, you can now, I think in America and the UK, you can do it all online. So you can just type in, send your address, they'll send you out a kit, you test yourself at home, and then you send it back so you don't have that embarrassing, conversation with the doctor. I don't care with the doctor. I'll tell them anything. I'm sort it out. But
if you've got a drippy dick, you should probably go to the clinic and have some antibiotics for it as well. So it's hard to do that from home. But we're trying to have more kits that you can have that at home. We haven't really quite got there in Australia. There are some kits that you can get to do HIV testing. So you can do a blood prick at home. So that's trying to diagnose more people with HIV and trying to decrease the stigma with that. Peeing into a jar and then doing a test for chlamydia or gonorrhea, we're nearly there, but still that's not commonly done within the country at the moment.
Do you think the dating apps have played a big part in the rise in gonorrhea and syphilis and everything kind of going through the roof at the moment? Do you think, it is more common to just be oh, I'm horny, I'm going to jump on the apps and it's spreading quicker? I think that would be a reason.
Supercharged dating. So when you would actually have to go out and have a meal with somebody.
Oh, the effort involved.
I know, right? Yeah,
yuck.
The expense. Now you can just get on the app and find somebody to do a quick hookup. It cuts out the middleman. The restaurants are missing out. It just means that you can fit more dates into your working week. And then the more chances you have of sex and the more chances you have of actually getting a sexually transmitted infection as well.
Damn you, Netflix and chill. Damn you to hell. Now, a friend of mine years and years ago, she discovered her husband was cheating because they had been married for 15 years. And then one day she woke up a bit itchy down there. And she was like, that's weird, and thought, it was a UTI or something like that. went to the doctor. He took one look downstairs and he goes, oh, you've got herpes. Like he picked it out straight away. She's like, I can't. We've been married for 15 years. We've been together for 20 years. I'm not sleeping with anyone else. That's how she found out that he was having an affair. Is that really common?
I think like sometimes it can occur, but I try not to play a blame game. Like unless there's other evidence going on the periphery of that presentation. So a lot of people can have a herpes infection. They may have got it like 20 years ago, and then they really don't have symptoms from it. So they might have the occasional itch, but it's not causing any problems. So it can just harbor like in their nervous system for a long period of time, and then it's just when all of the wind's blowing in the right direction that then they'll start to produce the virus on their skin, and then can infect their partner. So like unless there was other stuff going on, then I'd say, well, yeah, like it may have been there the whole time. It's not necessarily a sign that your partner's cheating if you're just getting herpes now. It could be a sign that you're cheating.
Still call bullshit though. How many people are now going to be going,
Yes,
it was
off the
dormant.
hook.
It was
had it the whole
dormant for
time.
20 years.
Not me.
Actually, maybe we shouldn't be giving people the cheat sheet for how to get away with that. Dr. Brad, you should be saying, yes, that's exactly why they were cheating.
Obviously, you know the saying, prevention is better than a cure. And is the trusty old condom still the best defence for the vast majority of these conditions? Or are there other things that we can be doing to lower the risk of catching something we don't want to catch?
Yeah, so condoms are still very protective against getting a whole range of different infections. So that's still your best bet. And yeah, like if somebody is at risk of HIV as well, then there is also medication. So we've got some tablets that we can use these days. They're emerging. We'll have some injections as well. So people might be able to get an injection once every 2 months or even once every 6 months in the near future, which can then prevent them from getting HIV too. But yeah, like there's all sorts of other like infections as well, and that people think, oh well, a condom's going to protect me against it. But any skin-to-skin contact can often transmit other infections. So syphilis can still happen. If you're giving oral sex to somebody else, then you can still get gonorrhea or chlamydia into your own mouth. So there's things that condoms. Normally, people aren't wearing condoms when they're receiving oral sex. So there's still that skin-to-skin contact that's a problem. So good, but there's lots of different types of having sex, so it's not going to be suitable for everybody.
And is it true, can you catch it from a toilet seat? Because we hear that all the time, and you should see me hovering over the toilet seats in public toilets.
So my lecturer at university was asked that exact question by us, and he said, it depends what you do with the toilet seat. So that's...
Use your own imagination there.
So we had this listener write in, and she's in a bit of a tears. She got divorced, went on a bit of a wild adventure with a few men, ended up catching herpes, and now she's stressing out because she's ready to settle down. She wants to date properly, and she's wondering how do you disclose it, and the timing around disclosing it. Should you disclose it on a first date or later? How do you go about it? What's your advice?
What was your advice first?
Okay.
Yeah, come on, we want to judge you. I want to hear.
Okay, this is good.
Dr. Mackay judge you.
I said that so many people have it now that if she shouldn't come at it. Well, first of all, she shouldn't tell them on the first date, because you've also got to decide whether you trust them with that information, because, if they don't want to see you after a first date, what if they go and tell people? It's not their business to tell anyone. So my advice was get to know them first, go on a few dates, fine to kiss, have fun. But as soon as it's heading towards something that could actually be serious, and before you've slept with them, then disclose it, but then say it in a really confident manner, not in a I'm embarrassed or I'm sorry, you must think I'm disgusting. Just disclose it as matter-of-factly, say you've got a hold on it, and then leave them space to process it and decide. Because I think if she over-explains herself, then it turns it into something bigger than it is.
My thoughts, I don't know, I suppose I'm a little bit more scientific and a little bit more proactive. So I will often tell people, okay, well, if you're getting into a new relationship with somebody and you're really worried about like displaying your herpes simplex virus status to them, then like you don't have to do that straight away. And certainly it's a bit weird if somebody does that on the first date.
I've got herpes. That would be weird.
Yeah. So not a great opener. So I suppose what you can do is take medication for it. So there are lots of antiviral medication. You can take 1 tablet a day. Sometimes there's 2 tablets a day to keep HSV under control. And so you can actually decrease your chance of transmitting it to somebody else quite substantially. And one of my favorite sort of stories from one of my patients was when she said that she was going dating back in the 80s. This is before we had medication as well. And they used to put up, before the internet, they used to put up signs on the wall and say, tonight we're having a herpes party. And so everyone who was herpes positive would go to this party. They would all have a fun time, and everybody in the room would know that everybody else had herpes simplex virus infection. And so it really decreased the stigma and helped them to choose other partners. And then they're already disclosing their status before that even started. So we don't really have them these days. Thank goodness for modern medicine.
Well, we probably do. We just don't know that we're having
It's on the dating app somewhere rather than a poster on a wall these days, I'm sure.
That's so true. Wow. I would say that's progressive, but it was back in the 80s. Oh, I
Where
love
there's
that
a
they were
will,
doing
there's
that.
a way.
God, we are a horny bunch, aren't we? We really are. There is something that has broken the internet this week. And like I said before, it's not just our viral clip that went wild after our chat with Margarita Nazarenko last week. Vogue has broken the internet as well. Writer Shantae Joseph wrote an iconic article that I sent to my editor saying, damn it, I wish I wrote this article myself. It was titled, Is Having a Boyfriend Embarrassing Now? And the internet lost their shit.
Hang on, you're going to have to walk me through this one.
Okay.
Why?
So,
what? Huh?
So basically, she and the fashion Bible known as Vogue has said it's official. Having a boyfriend is embarrassing. It's seen as lame. It's seen as cringe. And at first, when you hear that, you think, oh, that's just a bit of clickbait. That's actually
It makes
insane.
no sense.
But then you read the article and she makes so many good points. And I was like, damn it, she's right. But this isn't anything new. Because when you think about it, you know all those sexy Instagram women on Instagram in their bikinis and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They've all got boyfriends, but you will not see them on their Instagram pages. They brought this in years ago. I think after one of the Sports Illustrated girls made the mistake of putting her boyfriend up, and she lost like hundreds of thousands of followers overnight. That's when it became lame or embarrassing to have a boyfriend.
So what you're saying is it's lame to have a boyfriend publicly, as in on social media. You can still have a boyfriend and that's fine, but keep it to yourself. Don't splash it everywhere.
Yeah.
That's the lame part.
And I think socials have made it embarrassing as well, because you think about it, we're all brought up to basically be trad wives. Like the goals were get married, have kids, have a baby, have the picket fence. And then all of a sudden, all these fabulous influencers started popping up and they were traveling and they were going out and they were getting drunk and they were telling these wild dating stories. And I think it flipped the switch. I think that's a big reason now why women are getting married later in life and they are putting off kids and they're going, maybe I am enjoying my career. Maybe I want to put more emphasis into that. I'm hearing all these horrible dating stories on TikTok, on Instagram. We're all commiserating about all the shitty Peter Pans at the moment and the F-boys and the, it's, men, I'm sorry, but you have got a bit grim to date at the moment.
At the moment, haven't we always been dickheads, to be fair?
But now we're talking about it on social media and it's flipped the switch and people are going, actually, yeah, it is a bit lame to have a boyfriend. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, I do think with articles like this, which are kind of saying, you don't want a boyfriend, it is lame, it is embarrassing, we're hovering a little bit in that bitter woman territory. It's giving kind of the female version of Andrew Tate, where it's like, all men are shit, all men are the worst. Yeah, we're all giving up dating. I think we're going a little bit too extreme.
Okay.
So I'm saying I can understand why women are saying, yeah, it's embarrassing to have a boyfriend at the moment. But I also think we need to pull back a little bit and remember that there are good guys out there. And we all, at our heart, want our penguin. We want our special person. And we also, I think it's healthier to live in hope that these men are out there for us.
And you don't have to look that far. Like, for example, you could just look to your right. You never know. There might be a good bloke.
I changed my mind.
Closer than you think.
Boyfriends are embarrassing. But, but I will say it's gone a little bit too far, and I don't think we need to make bold statements like that. I think, ladies, we do still need to go on our dates. And I also don't think it's embarrassing to say you do want a boyfriend.
And that brings us to the end of another episode of Saucy Secrets.
Wow. I mean, we covered a lot
Drippy
tonight.
dick was a term used on the show today. And that's gonna just marinate and it's gonna sit there forever. Drippy dick.
It's just so visual. That's the problem. Like, it's
Drippy
stuck in
dick.
my mind and it's not good for the libido.
That was
Maybe
a
we'll
real
bring
highlight.
next week we'll bring back the sexy talk. less leaky dick, more strong, solid dick.
On that note, have a lovely week and
Have
we'll
a
talk
great-
to you next time on Saucy Secrets.
Bye.